My job is very straightforward. We are here to celebrate National Whistleblower Day. And I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why this is a day, and this is why this is a day that Congress has recognized. July 1776. Our founding fathers created a new nation dedicated to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. 6 months later, that principle and commitment was tested. 10 sailors and Marines aboard a frigate off of Providence Harbor, known as the Warren, blew the whistle on the commander-in-chief of the Continental Navy. They weren't blowing the whistle on the king. They were blowing the whistle on an appointee in a powerful position in the new government. And their allegations were embarrassing to that new government, including the mistreatment and torture of British prisoners. And our founding fathers were in the midst of a revolution. If they lost that, it's not a question of opinion polls or an election. They would be hung for treason. And the war was here, all around us. So there was the test. What does liberty mean to this new republic? The 10 sailors signed a petition outlining their grievances of the Commodore. One of them was chosen to jump ship and go to Philadelphia and present that petition. He went before the Marine Committee and he was asked, "Did you have permission to leave your boat and come here?" And his answer was quite simple. No. Well, why did you do it? His answer was also quite straightforward. And I quote now from the actual testimony given in February of 1777. Quote, "Zeal for the American cause." Quote, "I have been moved to do and say what I have done for the love of my country." And the petition specifically pointed out that those 10 sailors and Marines were willing to risk their lives for the country. They were fighting in the revolution. But they also insisted on promoting what they called their constitutional right to raise these issues to the new government. As a lawyer, that gave me pause because the U.S. Constitution was not written for another 10, 15 years. Yet they believed that there was inherent in that concept of liberty a right to blow the whistle, and they were going to assert it even if it meant jumping ship. And our founding fathers were tested. How would they react to this? You can have your own opinions, but they voted to suspend the Commodore of the Navy, whose brother was a signer of the Declaration of Independence. This was a powerful family from Rhode Island. They voted to suspend him. They listened to all of the allegations. They investigated them, and then they fired that commander based upon the information of America's first whistleblowers. They listened. Within a week of his termination, the former commander sued for criminal libel the 10 whistleblowers in Rhode Island where he was well connected. They caught 2 of them, arrested them, and put them in jail for high bail. From their prison cell, those 2 whistleblowers wrote again to Congress. Their names, Richard Marvin, who was a 3rd lieutenant in the Marines, and Samuel Shaw, a midshipman. These were working-class Americans who had volunteered in the Revolution. I'll read to you from their letter from that jail written on July 8, 1778. Your petitioners, not being persons of affluent fortunes, but young men who spent most of their time in service of their country. And that is a whistleblower. Whistleblowers are generally not the rich and powerful. They're the people who are not of affluent fortunes, and they are committed to service to their country. When I read this letter, I thought I was reading a letter that I get almost every day from whistleblowers. I've read this letter 100 times. They continued, finding ourselves arrested for doing what we believed and still believe was nothing but their duty, held to bail against a powerful and artful person. Humbly implore Congress to use its wisdom and help. That was the letter from prison. Congress got that. They investigated, and they took 3 actions. First, they voted to take the hard-earned currency of the United States, and they were broke at the time. They were spending every penny on bullets, and they voted to hire top-notch lawyers in Rhode Island to defend those whistleblowers. And he got a brilliant lawyer named Cheney. Second, they voted to release all of the documents. They didn't care if they were embarrassing to the US government. They didn't care if the British could use them to say you were torturing our soldiers. They released all of the documents. And third, they passed what I believe to be the world's first whistleblower law. And that was passed on July 30th, 1778, and that is why we're holding this ceremony today. And I hope on July 30th, the ceremony is repeated as many places as it can, because our founding fathers, when their lives were on the line, when they were dealing with the very type of issues Congress and the executive must deal with today, they spoke truth. They supported the whistleblower. But more important, they set the precedent for what it takes to have a democratic government that works. And their words, and it's on page 2 of your program, their resolution is quite simple. It is the duty of all persons in service of the United States, as well as all other inhabitants, to give the earliest information to Congress or any other proper authority of misconducts, frauds, and other crimes for which they have knowledge. That is America's first whistleblower law. It is true today as it was when it was passed. That is what this is about, and that's why July 30th should be remembered and celebrated. Thank you very much.